Tape www.suividécole-au-Sénégal.com. À école au Sénégal, c'est facile, tu n'as qu'à te connecter. Tape école au Sénégal, les leçons sont beaucoup plus détaillées.
Good day, everyone. How are we doing today? This is Teacher Raisa, and this morning we'll be looking at some grammar. It's going to be a grammar lesson, on sequence markers. When we talk about sequence markers, what are sequence markers? What is a sequence? A sequence simply means that steps that you take, what is like the order of things. How it goes from one step to the other, or what you should do. That's a sequence. It has to follow in a chronological manner. It follow in like the right manner, not just mixed up step 4, 5, 3. No, it goes from 1 to 2 to 3. And so that's what I call a sequence. And then sequence markers are those keywords that we often use when explaining or giving the different steps or giving the different orders. So those are the markers. And in the English language, actually, there are 5 sequence markers, mainly 5 sequence markers. After you're going to look at, we're going to look at sequence words, but this time around there's sequence markers, especially, and there are 5 of them. Okay, so but then why is it important to know about sequence markers? It is one, to organize your writing. If you want to become a writer, pour pouvoir bien écrire, faire des rédactions, it's very important that you use the right sequence markers. It improves your writing, it improves your speaking when you're trying to talk or trying to explain maybe how to make, maybe bake a cake, for example. What is it that you do first, all the way, the steps that are required till the end. They're called sequence markers. So it organizes your writing, it organizes your speaking, it organizes your thoughts. And then secondly, it's often used to give instructions. Okay, it gives instructions on what to do. For example, if your parents have to leave the house or go on a vacation, you're home, to tell you what to do. First, you have to do this, and then secondly, you do this. Those are instructions. When parents give instructions to the maid, or when our boss gives instructions to employees, it gives you instructions. It helps to met out instructions on what steps or what it is that you need to do step by step. Okay, and then after it gives you directions. You get lost and you need to get to, for example, to Pharmacie Atlantique, for example. They'll tell you first to go straight and then make a left and later make a right, and then finally you get to where. So you see that they're giving you directives on how to get to a place. And those are sequence markers. At the same time, it will also help you to describe a process. What's the process like? Trying to apply for a visa, what's the process like? First, you need to go to the website, and then you have to pull out the application, you have to fill out the application, and then you book an appointment, and then finally they give you time to go to the embassy for an interview. You see, those are processes that you have to go through. And so there you use sequence markers without even knowing that you're using them. Okay, so it helps you, describing a process or procedure that needs to be done, or you're telling a story. Are you telling a story about your birth? Are you telling a story how your parents got married? Are you telling a story about, Diop of Senegal, what he did? So you're describing in your story, you're giving the procedures of how it happened. So it's oftentimes telling a story, oftentimes true stories that you're telling people, what happened. So you want to go make sure that you go step by step about it. Okay, and then the next one, it improves your writing. Of course, it improves your writing because you're building up the right words. You're thinking, you're producing, you're writing whatever it is that is correct. You're building up, even in your speaking. It helps you as well. So it makes your mind to be organized. You get really organized in your ideas, you get organized in your thoughts, you get organized with the words. So, and that makes it even better because you're improving in it. You're using different, different ideas and stuff, And so it helps you to put every idea, every thought into diverse sections, into the right sections. So okay, I'm thinking. Qu'est-ce qui vient en premier? Ainsi de suite, après, et finalement, c'est quoi? So what are they? What are those steps? What do I need to do when I'm explaining what I'm thinking that I should do? So you see that it builds you up in your thoughts, it builds up your writing, it builds up your speaking, it builds up your grammar. You know, it's really good to have the sequence markers. Okay, and like I said there are 5 of them, and they're right here, the 5 of them. First, premièrement, first, the top, in the beginning, what is it that you need to do? First, that's it. Firstly, we have to peel the potatoes. That's if you want to do, for example, chips, potato chips or fries. You firstly have to peel the potatoes. So you're describing a process, you know. Then you put them in water. Okay, you steep them, you put them in water, and then next you add some salt, okay, and then after that you drain them, you take it out of the water, you know, you drain it, and then finally you fry them. You see that there are steps: first, then, next, after that, and then finally, finalement, in the lastly. You know, you can, so many synonyms to replace finally, lastly, in the end. First, to start off with in the beginning, then, or as follows, or secondly, next, you know, after that, you know, then after, then finally. So these are the different steps that you can use, you know, as far as sequence markers. If you're describing a procedure, if you're telling a story, if you are, you know, giving instructions and you're following, and you need to follow the instructions, or you're giving directions to someone that is probably lost. These are some of the steps that you have to use. Okay, oftentimes you may not need to use all 5. Sometimes you just need to use first, then, and then finally, because maybe they're just 3 steps. But these are the 5 main steps, okay, about sequence markers. And now there are also sequence words, which are mostly like connectors. These are often almost considered like connectors. And, you know, we'll look at those sequence words that are similar to this, that you can probably replace them, especially when you're building your writing. They're very important, the connectors, the links, the sequence words, okay? And they're important. So I have a little example here that I wanted us to do together to finish, pour terminer, following la suite, and then to start with pour commencer, you know. And so which word on your left hand side would march to finish? I think it's just one, finally, to finish, finally. And then following, c'est la suite, which word or words will go with? So which one will go with following? Following, ça signifie la suite. You know, pour continuer, would be then, like I said, I would go with following, après. Next, prochain. And then after that would also go. After that means following. And then the last one, first, would go to start with. To start with. So that's how you regroup them when you're explaining your ideas. What comes first, an introduction, what's in the body, in the middle, and then finally your conclusion. What happens? What should we do? What should I do? You know, what's the procedure like? So these are the steps, you know, as far as sequence markers. Please take notes. So when you're doing your writing to describing something or giving directions, please use them. It's very, you know, to start with, make a left. You know, next you make a right, then you go straight, and then finally you get to your destination. You know, or or you're telling a story, or you're giving instructions about what should be done. When you get up in the morning, the firstly you need to brush your teeth, and then make up your bed. You know, then after that you sweep, and then, you know, finally you can leave, or you can take your bath. So those are steps that you take. Okay, and so use them, use the sequences, and I'll be posting more on as far as sequence words are concerned, so you can use them as far as writing with your connectors. Thank you.